tonight on First at 9 this Sunday the 31st of August 2025. Connecting the threads. 5 underworld figures extradited from Indonesia including Kehelbadra Padme handed over to Sri Lanka police for interrogation. 2 suspects confessed to orchestrating the mid-denier triple murder. The response. Former President Ranil's spokesperson says Wolverhampton University extended an official invitation to the then Sri Lankan president. Former Secretary to the President Sabaneka Nayaka summoned before the CID tomorrow. Former President Ranil to deliver a special statement at the UNP convention on September 6th. Confidence boost. Global confidence in Sri Lanka's economy growing amid government's structural reforms, affirms the Finance Secretary.
Based on the stability that has been created, our objective is to grow in the short, medium to long term.
Asian Paint Causeway Aquasafe මිලදී තියෙන LED TV run voucher ඇතුළු තවත් හැකි රසක් දිනා ගන්න.
This is Derana First at 9, live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening, you're joining First at 9, brought to you by Sri Lanka's most trusted news source, Derana. I'm Tarindu Mahendra, joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. In your top story this evening, the 5 notorious organised criminals, including Kehelbadra Padme, recently apprehended in Indonesia and extradited to Sri Lanka, are currently being held separately under stringent security measures at the Criminal Investigation Department and the Western North Crime Division, where thorough investigations are underway. The authorities have obtained permission to detain and interrogate the criminals under the Prevention of Terrorism Act for the next 72 hours. During interrogation, additional details regarding various incidents, including the high-profile triple murder of underworld operator Kadja and his 2 children, have come to light.
A Sri Lankan Airlines flight carrying several high-profile organised criminals and drug traffickers, namely Kehelbadra Padme, Commando Salinda and Bako Saman, touched down at Bandaranaike International Airport at approximately 7:30 p.m. last evening. These individuals were recently apprehended through a coordinated operation involving Sri Lanka Police, the Jakarta Police in Indonesia and Interpol. Accompanying the extradited suspects were members of the Indonesian police force who were formally received at the airport by Assistant Superintendent of Police Rohana Olugala of the Western North Crime Division and ASP Mahinda Jayasundara of the Criminal Investigation Department. Also present at the airport were Minister of Public Security and Parliamentary Affairs Ananda Vijaypala and Inspector General of Police Priyantha Veerasurya. As a gesture of appreciation, both officials presented awards to the Indonesian officers who played key roles in the success of the international operation. Shortly after, Minister Vijaypala and IGP Veerasurya addressed the media at the airport premises.
The rise of organised criminal activity in the past can largely be attributed to the political protection extended to these groups. Some politicians not only relied on these underworld figures to consolidate their own power, but also exploited their resources and properties for personal gain. Investigations have revealed that certain assets belonging to these criminals were used by individuals in political office. A comprehensive inquiry will be carried out into all suspects who have now been taken into custody. We are committed to dismantling the underworld networks that have fueled violence across the country, and we assure the public that decisive action will be taken to restore law and order. The Criminal Investigation Department, which had once lost public trust, has re-emerged as a respected and effective force thanks to its recent efforts. I strongly believe the officers responsible for these achievements deserve both recognition and reward. Alongside continued development of departmental infrastructure, it is equally important to ensure that these dedicated officers receive the promotions they have rightfully earned. We are committed to intensifying our ongoing efforts to curb the influence and operations of organised criminal networks.
මේ පාතාලේ මේ පාතාල සමාජිකයන් ප්‍රකාශනයන්තුමනේ තර්ජනය කරලා තියෙනවා.
If an individual is intimidated by such threats, then policing may not be the right profession for them. Every police officer has the authority and indeed the responsibility to exercise their legal powers to bring such criminals to justice. We will take every necessary measure to protect and support officers who carry out their duties with courage and integrity.
By 9:15 p.m., the 5 suspects were escorted from the airport amid heightened security and handed over to the CID. Three of the suspects, Mandinu Padmasiri Pereira alias Kehel Badara Padne, Nilanga Sampath Silva alias Hanadura Nilanga and Shalintha Madhushan Pereira alias Commando Salintha were handed over to 3 separate CID investigative units for interrogation. Meanwhile, Lahiru Madhushanka alias Thamili Lahiru and NN Prasanga alias Bako Saman were initially placed under the custody of the Western North Crime Division. However, due to security concerns, they were subsequently transferred to the Colombo Port Police where further questioning is underway. During interrogation, the suspects provided crucial details related to the infamous triple murder of Khaja and his 2 children, a case that previously sparked national outrage. According to confessions, the victim had acquired narcotics from a dealer known as Darun but had failed to pay for the drugs. The suspects admitted to having executed the murder in retaliation for the unpaid debt. Meanwhile, reports have emerged that the 5 notorious criminals, including Kehel Badara Padme, attempted to escape from the Metro Police headquarters in Jakarta, Indonesia, prior to their extradition to Sri Lanka. The escape plot was allegedly orchestrated with the assistance of several Indonesian inmates. The attempt coincided with widespread protests that recently erupted in Jakarta. During the unrest, a group of demonstrators surrounded the Metropolis headquarters, prompting local authorities to deploy tear gas to disperse the crowd. Amid the chaos, the 5 Sri Lankan detainees exploited the situation, claiming respiratory distress due to the tear gas and attempting to flee custody. However, their escape was swiftly thwarted by Indonesian security forces. In light of this development, President Anura Dissanayaka had personally contacted Assistant Superintendent of Police Rohan Olugala and ASP Mahinda Jayasundara to receive direct briefing on the matter. Following high-level discussions, the decision was made to expedite the extradition process. Though initially scheduled to arrive in Sri Lanka today, the suspects were instead flown in ahead of schedule and arrived on the island last night under heightened security.
රුපියල් 8,900ක මාසික වාරිකයකට brand new TVS X100 යතුරු පැදියක් ගන්න.
A 35-year-old was fatally shot this morning while on his way home from the Wennapur police station where he had attended proceedings related to a High Court case. Police have since apprehended a suspect linked to the incident. During preliminary interrogation, the suspect confessed that the killing was an act of retaliation for the murder of his brother over a decade ago.
At approximately 10:30 am today, violence broke out on Charles William Road in Wennapur, where a fatal shooting incident resulted in the death of 1 individual and left another injured. According to police, a group travelling in a car rammed the vehicle onto the motorcycle carrying the 2 individuals. Following the collision, the assailants attacked the riders with a sharp weapon before opening fire. One victim, a 35-year-old, succumbed to gunshot wounds at the scene. The second victim managed to flee and sought refuge at the Wennapur police station. Police confirmed that the 2 persons had just left the police station after attending proceedings related to an ongoing High Court case when the attack occurred. Consequent to the swift special operation initiated by the Wennapur police, the primary suspect involved in the shooting incident was apprehended. The vehicle used in the assault was also located and a revolver believed to have been used in the shooting was recovered. During interrogation, the suspect revealed that the murder was an act of revenge for the killing of his brother in 2014. Police disclosed that both the deceased and the injured parties were implicated in legal proceedings stemming from this 2014 incident. The surviving victim, now receiving treatment at Maravilla Base Hospital, is reportedly an accused in a related murder case with the court's verdict scheduled for September 9th.
Former Secretary to the President Saman Ekanayake has once again been summoned to appear before the Criminal Investigation Department tomorrow in connection to the investigation into the alleged misappropriation of state funds by former President Ranil Wickremesinghe. Meanwhile, it is reported that the former president is scheduled to deliver a special statement at the United National Party conference on September 6th, to which former presidents and the leaders of all opposition parties have been invited.
On the 22nd of August, former President Ranil Wickremesinghe was arrested and remanded under the Public Property Act over the alleged misappropriation of state funds and was later granted bail on August 26 by the Colombo Fort Magistrate Court. In the view of health concerns, former President was first admitted to the prison hospital and was later transferred to the intensive care unit of Colombo National Hospital. Subsequently, he was discharged from the hospital on the 29th and is reportedly recovering at home under strict medical supervision. In the meantime, former Media Director General to former President Ranil Wickremesinghe, Dhanushka Ramanayaka, claims that the University of Wolverhampton has confirmed that it extended an official invitation to the then Sri Lankan President to attend its graduation ceremony. Ramanayaka shared on social media the letter which the university had forwarded on August 26 to that effect. As the investigation regarding the incident proceeds, former Secretary to the President Saman Ekanayake has been summoned again to appear before the Criminal Investigation Department on September 1st. Meanwhile, former President Ranil Wickremesinghe's media division announced that the former president is set to make a special statement at the upcoming United National Party convention on September 6th. It is reported that former presidents, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa, and leaders of the other opposition parties will be invited for the upcoming convention. The announcement became a hot topic in the political arena today.
Our president clearly stated that apprehending thieves is a certainty. However, he also warned not to complain when thieves are being apprehended. Now the program has begun systematically. The citizens of this country have seen how one after the other politicians were produced before court and subsequently sent to jail. We believe this process will not stop here. People are waiting until stolen wealth is recovered and those who stole it are brought to justice. When those issues are yet to be resolved, taking action over the former president making a detour while in transit to attend an event for his wife is like making a mountain out of a molehill. I believe people are too intelligent for that.
අනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්තයා අත්අඩංගුවට පත් වෙනවා අපේ රටේ සැලකිය යුතු මම කියන්නේ මේක අපේ රටේ දේශපාලන ඉතිහාසයේ ගත්ත දෙවන්ත තීන්දුවක් මේක කියන්නේ අපේ රටේ නීති ශාස්ත්‍රය ඇතුලේ ගත්ත දෙවන්ත තීන්දුවක් මේකේ ඇතුලේ තියෙන අපට නම් පට්ට සතුටක් රටේ ජනතාව බලාපොරොත්තු වුණා.
Citizens expected the government to deliver justice for the bond scam, the Easter Sunday attack and especially the butter and the torch chamber. They believed the government would address these significant issues. However, we now understand that since the government was unable to prove these matters, it is instead pursuing action against politicians over issues the people were never interested in. Until now, the law was enforced only against the proletariat. You and I are the proletariat. But now, the law is being enforced against the so-called aristocracy and people have begun to say on social media that this was the first time in Sri Lanka that a king was imprisoned after Sri Vikrama Rajasinghe. This is the situation. The government is currently engaged in a massive campaign of repression. It is fine if they only repress us who are involved in politics. However, we urge the government not to repress the country's war heroes, state workers, farmers, fishermen and labourers. The government is incapable of doing anything. Now the opposition is in a state of fear. Why? Because they have already been informed that if they create too much commotion, they too will end up behind bars. Their best friend Ranil Wickremesinghe also put on a show staying in prison for a while. They have had to resort to dramas. These are nothing but dramas. There is no need for unnecessary panic. The real reason for panic is that the former secretary to the president is due to be imprisoned for real because of Anura and Ranil's drama. If that innocent man too is placed in an air-conditioned hospital room and released, it would be fine. Because after all, they are getting free medical consultations and 3 full meals a day. You may have seen it yourself. The former president came out looking even fresher than before, holding a book in his hand. Meanwhile, the public service is deteriorating day by day because of these antics by the government. The backbone of the country, the public service, is collapsing while these people are making deals and putting on shows.
මේ විහිළු සහගත වැඩ නිසා මේ රටේ ඒ කුණු නාරටිය වෙච්ච අපේ රාජ්‍ය සේවය කඩාගෙන වැටෙනවා මේගොල්ලා ඩීල් දාගෙන නාට්‍ය පෙන්නනවා
හොඳම ෆෝන් එකක් ගන්න ළඟම බාන්ස් එකට යන්න.
Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa vows to fight to return the traditional lands of farmers of Monaragala and Siambalandua, which have been acquired by the government. This pledge was made when farmers protesting against the government's acquisition of their land directed their concerns to the opposition leader, who was participating in a public meeting in the area.
A group of farmers of the Siambalandua and Monaragala division staged a protest in Kotiagala this afternoon, alleging that the government had acquired more than 25,000 acres of their traditional farmland, which they have been cultivating for nearly 3 decades. The farmers directed their concerns to opposition leader Sajith Premadasa, who was attending a public meeting in the area. Subsequently, the opposition leader participated in a discussion with the farmers.
හම්බන්තොට දිස්ත්‍රික්කවල හිටපු මේ අරක් බට්ටි 280 ගාණක් මේ මුළු ඒරියාවකටම ගෙනලා දාලා අපේ අහිංසක මිනිස්සු එළවලා රක්ෂිතය කියලා වන රක්ෂණයේ මායින් ගහලා අපේ එක මිනිහෙකුට තෙන් එහාට යන්න දුන්නේ මේ වර්තමාන රජේනොත් අපි මේ ඉඩම් ටික ඉල්ලීම් කරා අපිට ඒක නීතියෙන් කටයුතු උනේ නැහැ මේ වෙනකන්
වර්තමාන රජයේ මැති ඇමතිවරුන් ළඟට මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ අරගෙන යනකොට විහිළු සහගත උත්තර දෙන්නේ.
When we take this issue to the current ministers, the responses they give are nothing but jokes. They say the district committee should solve these issues, but there's nothing to solve. Back during Ranjit Madduma Bandara's time, the government agent, the district secretary, all of them agreed the people of Wellassa have the right to cultivate these traditional farmlands. The right to cultivate this land isn't something you need to ask for. It's your inheritance. We will fight for that right through democratic means. Minister Sunil Handunnethi says that if local technical expertise is insufficient to address the issues caused by the irregular construction of the salt barrier on the river Nilvala in Matara, the government will seek foreign technical assistance to implement a permanent solution. He made these remarks while participating in an on-site inspection of the affected area.
Although an automatic salt barrier was constructed across the Nilvala River to address the drinking water issues in several areas of the Matara district, residents continue to face challenges due to the structure not meeting proper technical standards. The ongoing drought has worsened the situation, causing salt water to seep into the Nilvala River. As a result, the National Water Supply and Drainage Board has had to restrict the supply of drinking water to the area. This issue has drawn the attention of Minister Sunil Handunnethi, who also serves as the chairman of the Matara District Coordinating Committee. In response, authorities have decided to close the side canals cut near the salt barrier using sandbags in an effort to prevent further salt water intrusion. Starting yesterday, under the supervision of the Water Supply Board, officers from the Matara Disaster Management Unit and personnel from the 9th Sri Lanka Singha Regiment began placing sandbags at the site to implement this temporary measure.
Removing the salt barrier is a problem, but keeping it is also a problem. If it's destroyed, rainwater will cause flooding, and during droughts, salt water will rise. To solve this, a technical solution is necessary. For now, we are gathering technical reports to provide a permanent solution. As a temporary measure, drinking water will be supplied by water bowsers to the Matara Municipal Council and all divisional secretariat divisions. When the barrier is rebuilt, its design will prevent salt water intrusion by controlling the flow speed of the river. To be honest, what is needed is not a temporary fix but but a permanent solution. If our local technical expertise is insufficient to resolve the issue, we must seek foreign technical assistance to implement a lasting solution. We cannot keep relying on temporary measures. The President has also given special attention to this matter and we are committed to finding a permanent solution. Welcome back. Treasury Secretary Dr. Harshana Surya Peruma says Sri Lanka has regained investor confidence through reforms and stable governance and aims for sustainable growth while balancing opportunities and challenges. He made these remarks during the 38th annual conference of the Organisation of Professional Associations of Sri Lanka.
The 38th annual conference of the Organisation of Professional Associations of Sri Lanka was held recently in Colombo with the participation of Speaker of Parliament Dr. Jagat Wickramaratne and Treasury Secretary Dr. Harshana Surya Peruma.
It was on the 29th of May 1975 that the Organisation of Professional Associations of Sri Lanka was established through the visionary leadership of Dr. Nath Amarakon. From humble beginnings, the OPA has grown to become a national institution that includes 52 professional member associations representing 34 professions with over 60,000 members. The annual conference is the flagship event of the OPA, serving as a wide platform for informed dialogue on issues of national, regional and international importance. It is during these conferences that distinguished experts, policymakers, industry leaders come together, build relationships, share knowledge and deliberate on pressing challenges facing Sri Lanka. Our primary objective is to generate actionable recommendations and constructive suggestions to the government and other key stakeholders.
Growth trajectory of the Sri Lankan economy. The time that we have passed and the moment in time that we are here in today, we have seen points that were really, really low in terms of a country, what our citizens had to go through, what our businesses had to endure. However, citizens of Sri Lanka has made a choice and handed over the future of this nation to be decided to a new group to take on the policy making and drive this nation to the next level that we desire. The present government and the administration has brought about one important thing that matters to all of us, both Sri Lankans and foreign investors. The theme, the name, confidence. We have a renewed confidence about the economy. It's not only Sri Lankan investors, Sri Lankan businesses who are taking a fresh look at the way how country is being operated. Foreign investors are recognizing, foreign counterparts, governments are recognizing, multilateral agencies are recognizing, and several engagements based on the confidence they have based on the way how the country is governed. A structural reform has been introduced. Those are being implemented as we speak. Some of the acts are now in operation. Based on the stability that has been created within the system, our objective is to grow in the short, medium to long term, to bring about that growth. Policy stability, consistency of policies, predictability in economic activities. It is not only economic stability, the political stability, the social stability. It is about new opportunities, but at the same time, there will be new challenges also.
Welcome back. In your international news, leaders from across Asia and beyond gathered in Tianjin, China for the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit aimed at reshaping global alliances. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping held a high-profile bilateral meeting on the sidelines of the summit in a move highlighting growing global South coordination amid rising pressure from the West. Russian President Vladimir Putin also arrived in Tianjin to a red carpet welcome, hinting at shifting power dynamics amid rising global tensions.
In a significant show of global South solidarity, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping held a key bilateral meeting on the sidelines of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit in Tianjin, China, their first in 7 years. Modi emphasized India's commitment to strengthening ties with China, stating that both nations pursue strategic autonomy and that their relationship should not be viewed through the lenses of any third country. The two leaders agreed on the need to expand bilateral trade and investment, with India raising concerns about its growing trade deficit with China. They also discussed regional and global challenges, including terrorism, fair trade practices, and cooperation in multilateral forums. The meeting comes just 5 days after the United States slapped 50% tariffs on Indian goods in response to New Delhi's continued purchase of Russian oil, a move seen as part of a broader Western economic pressure campaign. Analysts suggest Modi and Xi are aligning more closely to resist this pressure and assert their independent foreign policy paths. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin also arrived in Tianjin to a red carpet welcome for a rare 4-day visit, underscoring the deepening Russia-China strategic partnership. Chinese state media called their ties the most stable and strategically significant among major powers. The SCO summit, hosted by Xi and attended by around 20 leaders, marks the largest gathering since bloc's inception in 2001. While originally focused on security and counter-terrorism, the SCO now spans military and economic cooperation. Xi is expected to use the summit to present a vision for a post-Western global order with strong backing for Russia, which continues to face heavy sanctions over its invasion of Ukraine. The gathering is being positioned by Beijing as a powerful counterweight to Western influence, a united front of developing nations seeking a multipolar world.
Israel carried out a deadly airstrike on Yemen's capital Sana'a, killing the Houthi-run government's Prime Minister Ahmed Ghaleb al-Rahfi and several senior ministers, including the Ministers of Energy, Foreign Affairs and Information. The strike, confirmed by the head of the Houthi Supreme Political Council, marks the first time senior Houthi officials have been killed in such an attack. Israel said it was targeting top Houthi military leaders, including the defense minister and chief of staff, and is still verifying results. Houthi Defense Minister Mohammed al-Atifi, a key missile commander, later appeared in state media without addressing the strike, raising questions about his status. The Houthis vowed retaliation, saying their position towards Israel remains unchanged. Israel Defense Minister Yoav Gallant called the strike a crushing blow, warning that this is only the beginning. That's all for tonight from First at 9. Thank you for joining. Have a great night.